Full 4 here. Want to say shout out to the LDBC. Shout out to New Media. If you're new to my channel, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for viewing my video. If you're a repeat viewer or subscriber, I want to say welcome back to the channel. Thank you for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I ask that you please subscribe to the channel. If you're feeling the content, please like and share as well. I want to get into a breakdown on this, basically on some of what came out of the post-fight press conference with AJ and Eddie Hearn, talking about their April fight, that they have coming up in April, and how they want to see Wilder on that date. One of the things that I want to talk about is, that Eddie talked about the $50 million. He said that basically by $50 million, I'm talking about the $50 million offer that Wilder's team made to AJ to make that fight with a 50-50 split on the back end. Eddie made the comment that with AJ's win over Povetkin, making his resume look better with how he finished that fight. And he also said, Wilder beats Fury. That makes the fight that much bigger, and it's going to make the $50 million offer look like peanuts. Well, my response to that is, first, if the magnitude and growth of what the fight can be, coming off of these two fights for these guys, granted, if Wilder beats Fury, if that makes that $15 million look like peanuts, makes the $50 million 50-50 split look like peanuts, what does it make the $15 million flat fee look like? It makes it look like nutmeg. The reality is, when you're talking about $50 million guaranteed, 50-50 split, you can't make that look like peanuts, because it grows with the fight. If he's saying that, if the fight happened then versus if it happens in April, the fight's bigger, so the revenue's bigger, yes, but the reality is the $50 million up front still would be the biggest guarantee ever for a heavyweight. And the 50-50 split is a 50-50 split. It's 50-50 of total revenue. So regardless of how big the fight does, it's still 50% of what the fight brings in. So that doesn't matter. If the fight did 100 million, then of course, it's 50% of that. If it did, 400 million, is 50% of that. So, at the end of the day, a 50-50 split with 50 million on the front end, or 50-50 with 50 million guaranteed, getting a little tongue tied, but 50 million guaranteed with a 50-50 split is still a great offer in any world. In any fight, that's a great offer. That would have been a great offer for, if Conor McGregor could have offered that to Floyd, that would have been a great offer, for Conor McGregor's side. Now, for Floyd, it's not a great offer, because he's going to bring in, he's the established boxer. He's the established boxing pay-per-view star. So it's not that big of a deal, great of a deal for him. But the $50 million up front would have been. But I think he actually probably, not up front, but as far as guaranteed, and I think he actually got a bigger guarantee than that. But my point is, that's still not it's not something to just, shake a stick at and say, oh, that's nothing. For these two guys, that was a good deal. It still is a good deal. Now, that said, if we're away from that, and we're to the point where it's back on Matchroom's side to make the offer, and they have to make an offer that works for Wilder. These flat fee offers aren't going to cut it. And if they're coming back to the table with these flat fee offers, and I don't care if they offer Wilder $50 million, I don't think $50 million, even if there's a guarantee of $50 million with no money on the back end, which is a huge step up from that $15 million flat fee offer, I still think Wilder is taking a chance on robbing himself, because you have to be in a position to get some of the revenue on the back end, because the fight is as big as it is because of the people involved in the fight. The fight doesn't do huge numbers just because AJ is in the fight. You know, Eddie himself keeps talking about, you know, Wilder, AJ is the biggest fight in world boxing. Well, it's only big because of both guys. It's not that big just because of AJ's name or just because of what AJ sells out at against other people at whatever stadium. That's not what makes the fight big. It's the two guys coming together that makes the fight big. Just like how two guys come together and make a fight great. Apart from one another, Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward were not setting the world on fire at the time when they fought each other. But when they came together, they made an epic matchup and made a historically brilliant fight that basically went down as an instant classic. And they done it 2 more times. And each fight was a great fight. But that fight was great because of what the two guys brought to the table. So the same thing applies for this fight here. From a monetary standpoint, this fight will be huge because of both guys, not because of one guy. So you have to be fair in what you're offering in terms of a split of the back end money. You cannot tell a man you don't deserve any back end money. And that's kind of how the negotiation started out from the jump with Eddie Hearn was, why did they deserve that? Why did they deserve a split? You know, and basically that's what got them to where it basically was a non-starter, and they kept with these lowball offers, and Wilder and his team said, okay, if that's how they're going to do it, then we'll make a respectable offer to try to really get the ball rolling and get this fight done, and we'll just do it here in America. So, you know, that's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about his comment about the $50 million with the 50-50 back end split being made to look like peanuts when the fight comes around in April. AJ also made some comments saying that he doesn't want to wait until after Wilder fights Fury to get Wilder to sign the fight. Wilder needs to sign now because he said if Wilder waits to fight Fury and rests up and then decides what he wants to do, by then he himself will already be training for his next fight against someone else. So it's kind of one of them things where they're putting all this, trying to push it all back on Wilder, that Wilder needs to go ahead and sign before he fights Fury. And basically that's the position, that's their play. I mean, they pretty much stated that they're not waiting on the results of Wilder versus Fury. Wilder needs to sign. We need to come to terms. They need to renegotiate, come to terms, and then when they come to terms, the terms are contingent upon Wilder beating Fury. If Wilder doesn't beat Fury, then it's off the table, and then Wilder will probably be rematching Fury because he has a rematch clause. That's the speculation they have. So with that said, you know, I understand where they're coming from. I don't really understand the rush. You know, April, even if you wait till December 1st, April 13th is a full 4 months away from December. So there shouldn't be a drastic impact if the fight is made after December 1st, if the fight's signed. But that said, if that's the way they want to play it and that's the way they want to do it, I guess from Wilder's standpoint, his team needs to be handling the negotiations while he handles his preparation for the Tyson Fury fight. He needs to be if that's something they're interested in doing, he needs to be fully focused on his fight and taking care of business, and let his handlers, he needs to just tell them what he has to have and let them take that and run with it. And he concentrate on the fight and let them concentrate on the business side of it. And if that happens, I mean, they could come together and make the fight. But that said, I don't think Wilder needs to go into his fight with Fury with added pressure, worried about negotiations with an AJ fight or worry about that fight coming up in April, because I feel like that sometimes lends itself to guys slipping in their upcoming fights, but in their fight they already have going on because they're too concerned about what's next. I think AJ, even in the fight with Povetkin tonight, however you want to say it, it was tonight over there, but it was today over here in the U.S., I think he was really concerned about, I need to take care of this guy so we can take care of it. We can take care of the business that we need to take care of to get the April fight going. And I think he put undue pressure on himself against a guy that he couldn't afford to be pressing and not really fully focused on. And I think it showed early in the fight. Now, I'm not going to put all that on him and say that Povetkin didn't do some good things. Povetkin had a lot to do with how that fight was going for AJ. But I do think, you know, if you listen to the pressers and listen to the interviews that in AJ talk, all he just kept talking about losing. And, you know, he can't lose and they can't afford to lose this and other. And they keep talking about all this stuff. And it's like, well, for him, it's a lot of pressure that he's put on himself. Yeah, Eddie even alluded to it in his press conference, saying that there's a ton of pressure on him because they want to make this fight in April. So I don't think Wilder needs to have that pressure on himself. His team needs to focus on the negotiation. If they're going to renegotiate with Hearn, but Hearn needs to be realistic and come to the table with some reasonable offers. You can't come to the table trying to lowball someone with, you know, well, we're not going to do any kind of back-end money. It's going to be a flat fee, or come with some, okay, 25%. You know, I mean, it has to be an offer greater than the percentage they gave Joseph Parker, in my opinion, for them to even start negotiation. Otherwise, it's just going to be much more the same as what we already got. They just can't come to terms. But, and I'll allude to it again. I said this in other videos. You know, everyone talks about the Riddick Bowe Lennox Lewis thing. That was a lot to do with why that fight never happened. Was Lennox Lewis wanted a respectable offer. Bowe's team made them at least 2 offers that they turned down because they felt the offers were not respectful, and they felt the offers screamed at them that, hey, we don't really want this fight, but if you're willing to take this little bit of money, then we'll fight you. And Lennox and his team turned it down. And then later, when they saw that it wasn't getting any better, they came back and they tried to accept the offer. And Bowe's side basically said the offer's off the table. And then when the WBC stepped in and pretty much said that they were going to mandate the fight, that's when Bowe, you know, pretty much threw the belt in the trash and said Lennox wants to be the champion. He can get the belt out the trash and be the champ. So forth and so on. So that killed that aspect of the fight being made. Then fast forward years later, when Lennox is champ and Bowe still has a name and is still kind of considered the top guy in the division, he just doesn't have a belt, they renegotiated. Lennox and his team made Bowe an offer, and I think it was kind of basically what the guarantees were like, I want to say it was either 13 or 15 million for Lennox and like 18 million for Bowe is what they agreed on. But that fight was contingent upon Lennox Lewis beating Oliver McCall. And then once Lennox Lewis beat Oliver McCall, the fight was going to be set in stone. Well, what happened is Lennox went into that fight with Oliver McCall and got knocked out in the fight, and basically that killed the Bowe fight. It never happened. So, you know, I don't want to see that be the outcome of this thing. I want to see the fight take place. But the reality is, if they keep messing around, one of these guys is going to get beat, or both of them are going to get beat, and then the fight will never be what it would have been. I mean, you look at Juan Mine, Gamboa right now. They're supposed to be headlining a card together, fighting against 2 other guys with the prospectus of potentially having a fight with one another next. Well, that'll be great if that happens. But the reality is, we're about, 5, 6, 7 years late on when that fight really would have been a mega fight and they would have made a ton of money. And now in the fight would have had a lot of meaning in boxing. Now the fight is just a fight between 2 guys that are a lot past their prime, past their best years. And even then, there's no guarantee that both guys get past. I mean, both of them could lose, and I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, against the guys that they have scheduled to fight. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them lost. I wouldn't be surprised if they both lost. But even if they both win, that fight really isn't even a pay-per-view worthy fight. But, you know, and those are just some examples. But, you know, with all of that said, I think AJ and his team are in a position right now, because they're coming off this win, to where they are going to talk, and no one's really going to check him on it because Wilder's too busy with his fight that he has coming up. And that is one of the drawbacks to him fighting so far apart from the date of AJ's fight. You know, AJ's fight today, September 22nd, well, you're going to go all the way to December 1st before Wilder fights. So from this point on until December 1st, there's going to be a lot of AJ and Eddie Hearn posturing, a lot of AJ's fans posturing, and basically, you know, saying that, hey, why won't Wilder sign? Why don't this? Why don't that? And reality is that Wilder has a fight that he has to take care of, and that shouldn't be signing a fight with AJ shouldn't be his main priority right now. His main priority is getting in the best possible shape he can get in because he's fighting one of the best fighters he's ever fought. You know, Tyson Fury can box his behind off, and that's the reality of it. You know, it helps Wilder to have just fought Luis Ortiz because Luis Ortiz is a master boxer. And Luis Ortiz does a lot of things very well. And some of those same things that Luis Ortiz does well, Tyson Fury does well in terms of footwork and movement. Not to say that they're the same fighters, but just I think that it helps to have fought Ortiz. But the difference was Ortiz was coming to get Wilder. You know, he wanted to take Wilder's head off and use his boxing ability to get him there to do so and to get him out of harm's way. I don't know that Fury would have that aggressive mentality. Fury may be more of a, I want to work my jab, but I want to be defensive and try to survive. But regardless of whatever happens in that fight, I think the end result will be the same. I think the fight ends with Wilder with his hands raised and Fury on his back. But that said, Deontay Wilder can't approach that fight, nor can he go into that fight with the mentality that he is just going to win. He's going to win that fight just because he's Deontay Wilder. He has to be prepared to fight the best version of Tyson Fury, and he has to be prepared to be the best version of Deontay Wilder that he can be. You know, if those things happen, I think he'll be victorious, and I think he'll be ready to face Anthony Joshua in April and get that W. But, you know, all of that said, he has to, have his team take care of the negotiation side of it, and it takes two sides to come together to make a fight happen, and it has to be mutual interest on both sides to really make the fight and to make the fight with as little resistance as possible. I mean, if the teams work together to make the fight happen, I think they can make it happen. Ultimately, if that's what they really want to have happen. So, with that said, I'm going to close out this video by saying shout out to the LDBC, shout out New Media. Thanks for your viewership, if you're viewing this video, and I just ask that if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I'm out of here.